I loved Lana Turner. I had many stars. I like them all. I like, of course, the ones that everyone knows, like Tyrone Power, Lana Turner, Linda Darnell, Rita Hayworth. But I also love the Evelyn Keyes, Lorraine Day, Peter.
In the golden haze of 1950s Hollywood, when the studios controlled the dreams and desires of an entire nation, one young actor captured the heart of millions with an effortless smile and an air of invincibility. Tab Hunter, with his chiseled jawline, boyish charm, and magnetic charisma, was the embodiment of the ideal American boyfriend. Fans would swoon at his every appearance, and women across the country imagined a life by his side, captivated by the wholesome persona that seemed to radiate from every frame of celluloid. In public, he was polite, gracious, and impossibly likable, the golden boy who could do no wrong, a Hollywood creation perfected by marketing teams and glossy magazines. His image was meticulously curated, the all-American heartthrob, a perfect boyfriend, someone mothers trusted and young women adored. But beneath the veneer of smiles, magazine covers, and public appearances, a secret life simmered quietly in the shadows, a life that challenged the very foundation of the image he was celebrated for. Behind the bright lights and red carpets, Tab Hunter harbored a private reality that Hollywood's moral guardians and the studio system would have considered scandalous. It was a reality that contrasted starkly with the public persona of the model boyfriend, the young man who seemed to have it all, yet whose heart and desires were constrained by the unyielding pressures of a world obsessed with perfection, image, and control. Hunter's rise to fame was meteoric, a journey marked by contracts, starlets, and the relentless machinery of Hollywood's studio system. Warner Brothers saw in him a golden opportunity, a clean-cut, handsome, talented young actor who could be molded into a bankable star. In the sun-soaked streets of Los Angeles, amidst the clamor of auditions, premieres, and endless photo shoots, Hunter navigated his career with an uncanny ability to please, to charm, and to maintain the illusion of effortless perfection. Studio executives adored him. Fans worshipped him. He was, in many ways, the quintessential Hollywood dream, untarnished, idealized, and endlessly marketable. Yet the very studios that elevated him to stardom also dictated the terms of his life, shaping not only the roles he played but the narrative of who he could be, both on and off the screen. The American public, craving innocence and romance, had no inkling of the complexity that lay beneath his gleaming exterior, a duality that defined Hunter's existence in a city built on illusions that as the lights dimmed and the cameras stopped rolling, Hunter's life took on a rhythm that diverged sharply from the public's expectations. Away from the gaze of fans and the scrutinizing eyes of Hollywood press, he moved through private circles, seeking connection and authenticity in a world that demanded conformity. His relationships were shrouded in secrecy, a delicate dance of desire and discretion that he maintained throughout his career. To the world, he was the ideal boyfriend, a paragon of virtue and charm. In private, he embraced a different reality, one in which he could love freely and authentically, even if that love existed behind closed doors. It was a reality fraught with risk, for in an era when the exposure of such truths could devastate careers, Hunter's careful navigation of public perception and private desire became both his art and his necessity. The tension between who he was expected to be and who he truly was created a duality that defined his life, a balancing act on the knife edge of fame, secrecy, and survival in a city that thrived on illusion. This hidden life, the one kept from the studios and fans alike, reveals the cost of Hollywood perfection, the weight of living under a microscope that never blinks. Hunter's story is not merely about fame, but about the complex interplay of desire, image, and identity in a society that demanded conformity and punished deviation. His journey illuminates the struggles of countless actors who walked the same streets, performed for the same cameras, and played roles dictated not only by talent but by societal expectations, studio decrees, and the ever-watchful public eye. The private life of Tab Hunter, once hidden in the shadows, speaks to the courage required to exist authentically in a world that demanded masks. His story challenges our understanding of Hollywood history, forcing us to reconcile the dazzling image of the boy-next-door star with the profound realities of personal truth, secrecy, and resilience. Hunter's duality was more than a private struggle. It became a lens through which we can understand the broader Hollywood landscape of the mid-20th century. The studios thrive on controlling narratives, creating stars not as people but as commodities, packaging them in ways that would ensure maximum audience appeal. Hunter's public persona, the flawless boyfriend adored by millions, was a product of this system, a reflection of the dreams and desires of a nation yearning for innocence and idealized romance. Yet his secret life reminds us that behind every manufactured smile, behind every photo shoot and carefully edited interview, there existed a human being grappling with authenticity, love, and self-expression. His story is a testament to the resilience of those who dared to exist honestly in a world built on illusion, a narrative that resonates decades later as we continue to examine the intersection of celebrity, identity, and societal expectation. Even today, the legend of Tab Hunter endures, not merely as Hollywood's best boyfriend, but as a symbol of the complexities of fame, the price of secrecy, and the courage to live authentically against the strictures of an unforgiving society. His journey reminds us that behind every public figure lies a private reality, one that can be as compelling, as poignant, and as revealing as the stories told on the silver screen. To understand Hunter is to understand the human cost of Hollywood's golden age, the delicate balance between performance and truth, and the enduring quest for connection and authenticity in a world that prizes image above all else. His life, both public and hidden, continues to captivate, inspire, and challenge us to see beyond the glitz, beyond the perfectly styled hair and dazzling smiles, to the reality of a man navigating love, desire, and identity in the unforgiving glare of fame beneath the public adoration. Hunter's private world was a careful construct of avoidance, secrecy, and self-preservation. The Hollywood machine, while elevating him to iconic status, was relentless in policing his image. The studios demanded perfection, not just in performance, but in every facet of life. Tab Hunter, despite his fame, had to navigate an intricate labyrinth of contracts, publicity events, and personal appearances designed to cement his boyfriend image in the collective imagination of America. Any misstep, any hint that contradicted the crafted persona, could result in career derailment or social ostracization. Within this environment, Hunter developed a keen awareness of duplicity, the need to perform for the world while protecting the truth of who he was from those who would weaponize it. His personal relationships were forged in secrecy, a hidden life where emotional authenticity clashed with public expectations, and where love existed in whispers rather than public declarations. That Hunter's duality was not a matter of moral failing. It was survival. In interviews decades later, he described a world where intimacy and trust were rare commodities, and where friendship itself often carried an undercurrent of suspicion. Those who navigated Hollywood successfully were masters of diplomacy, concealment, and timing. For Hunter, this meant living a double life. By day, the affable, charming screen idol, adored by millions. By night, a man yearning for honest connection, whose desires could only be expressed in private, under the radar, away from the intrusive lens of fame. He developed strategies to protect his privacy, carefully orchestrated outings, private retreats, and discreet social circles where he could be himself without fear of exposure. These tactics were not mere indulgences. They were essential for mental and emotional survival in a world that demanded constant performance. The secrecy extended to his relationships, where the stakes were unrelentingly high. Hunter's romances, though real and passionate, were hidden behind closed doors, navigated with discretion and caution. Hollywood was a city where betrayal and rumor could obliterate a career overnight. Friendships could be weaponized, and the media had a voracious appetite for scandal, particularly when it involved deviations from societal norms. To exist authentically in this environment required courage, cunning, and an almost daily negotiation between desire and survival. Hunter's life exemplifies this struggle, a man revered for the ideal of romance, yet constrained by a society that could not tolerate the fullness of his truth. His experiences reveal a deeply human story behind the manufactured perfection, a narrative of longing, resilience, and the constant balancing act of identity in a world obsessed with image. But the allure of fame and the trappings of Hollywood could not entirely contain Hunter's private self. As his career advanced, he began to seek outlets for expression beyond the roles the studios assigned him. He explored music, recording chart-topping hits, and appeared in films that, while still influenced by studio oversight, allowed him glimpses of creative freedom. Each project became a tightrope between public expectation and personal fulfillment, a place where he could subtly assert agency while remaining within the rigid confines of Hollywood's machinery. The tension between persona and authenticity was always present, palpable, and defining. It shaped the choices he made, the people he trusted, and the moments he allowed himself to feel unguarded. In these glimpses of autonomy, Hunter found solace and proof of his own agency, even if it remained constrained by the relentless gaze of the public eye. His private relationships were equally complex. Unlike the public spectacle of his on-screen romances, his true love stories were often quiet, uncelebrated, and intensely personal. Hunter's secret life, though shielded from the tabloids, was filled with genuine connection, vulnerability, and the pursuit of companionship that reflected his true self. The contrast between these hidden bonds and the carefully curated image of the Hollywood boyfriend underscores the extraordinary tension in his life. It is this tension that makes his story enduring, compelling, and ultimately human. The juxtaposition of fantasy and reality, the collision of societal expectation with personal truth, and the courage required to navigate both simultaneously as decades pass, the secrecy that defined Hunter's early career began to erode under weight of time, changing social norms, and his own desire for authenticity. In later years, he chose to confront his past publicly, revealing aspects of his life that had remained concealed for decades. His memoirs and interviews offered a candid glimpse into the pressures he faced, the sacrifices he made, and the duality he maintained for survival. In these revelations, the public could finally reconcile the image of the boy-next-door star with the complexity of the man behind the smile. Hunter's story became not merely a tale of fame and heartbreak, but a case study in the broader cultural and societal forces that shape celebrity, identity, and authenticity. To Ian understanding Tab Hunter, one understands Hollywood itself, a world of stark contrasts, where illusion and reality collide, and where the pressures of fame demand compromises that the public may never fully grasp. Hunter's life teaches us that even the most idealized personas are composed of hidden struggles, private joys, and unspoken truths. He was both Hollywood's best boyfriend and a man with secrets, a dual existence that challenges the very notion of perfection in celebrity culture. His journey illuminates the human cost of living under the glare of fame, the courage it takes to protect one's truth, and the resilience required to navigate a world that rewards image above authenticity. As the years unfolded, Tab Hunter emerged from the shadows of secrecy with a clarity that few in Hollywood ever achieve. The passage of time, combined with shifting societal attitudes, allowed him to reclaim the narrative of his own life, one that had been carefully constrained by fear, contracts, and the unforgiving expectations of the studio system. In interviews and memoirs, he spoke candidly about the dual existence he had maintained for decades, the boyish heartthrob adored by millions on one hand, and the private man seeking connection and love on the other. These revelations were not just personal confessions. They were acts of courage, offering the world a chance to understand the human being behind the icon, to reconcile the image of Hollywood's best boyfriend with the complexities of desire, identity, and survival. Hunter's honesty opened a door for a new conversation about fame, secrecy, and authenticity in a city that has long thrived on illusion and projection. The significance of Hunter's story extends far beyond his personal life. It provides a lens through which we can examine Hollywood's golden age and the cost of stardom in a culture obsessed with perfection. The studios manufactured stars like products, packaging them for public consumption, and in doing so, demanded conformity to narrow ideals of morality, appearance, and behavior. Hunter's ability to navigate this system, to protect his private life while performing the idealized role of the boyfriend, illustrates both the ingenuity and the resilience required of those who sought to survive in the limelight. His story also illuminates the hidden lives of countless other actors and actresses, men and women who were forced to conceal their true selves, sometimes at tremendous personal cost, in order to preserve careers and maintain the illusion demanded by an eager and judgmental public. Hunter's later years, marked by reflection, self-expression, and public acknowledgement of his private life, offered a counter-narrative to Hollywood mythology. No longer constrained by studio contracts or the relentless gaze of tabloid scrutiny, he could speak openly about his experiences, his loves, and the strategies he employed to balance identity with fame. In doing so, he reshaped his legacy, transforming from a cautionary tale of secrecy into an enduring story of authenticity, resilience, and courage. Hunter's willingness to confront the past, to reveal both the light and shadow of his life, serves as an enduring reminder of the complexities of celebrity and of the humanity behind even the most polished public image. Moreover, Hunter's story resonates in the broader cultural and social context. In revealing the duality of his life, he contributed to the slow but profound shift in how society understands fame, sexuality, and personal truth. He became an emblem of the struggles faced by LGBTQ+ individuals in an era when authenticity could jeopardize livelihood, reputation, and safety. His journey illuminates not only the pressures of Hollywood, but also the universal human challenge of reconciling public perception with private identity. Hunter's life stands as both a testament to the cost of living under scrutiny and a celebration of the courage required to live honestly, even when the stakes are impossibly high today. When we look back on the legend of Tab Hunter, we see more than the perfect Hollywood boyfriend. We see a man who navigated contradictions with grace, resilience, and strategy. His story challenges simplistic notions of fame, reminding us that behind every public persona lies complex and private reality. It is a story that continues to inspire, offering insight into the human cost of celebrity while celebrating the enduring power of authenticity. Through the lens of Hunter's life, we understand the fragility of image, the courage of personal truth, and the timeless tension between who we are and who the world wants us to be. That I end reflecting on Tab Hunter, we are compelled to reconsider the narratives we accept, the heroes we idolize, and the realities we often overlook. Hollywood's golden age, with its glimmering premieres, red carpets, and dazzling smiles, was not simply a playground of glamour. It was a crucible in which the private and public self collided, and in which actors like Hunter learned to navigate treacherous waters with both courage and caution. His life exemplifies the duality inherent in fame, the invisible sacrifices behind the limelight, and the enduring power of resilience and authenticity. Hunter's legacy is not merely the memory of a handsome star adored by millions, but the story of a human being who, in the face of extraordinary pressures, remained true to the essence of who he was, quietly defying the demands of an image-driven culture while leaving an indelible mark on the history of Hollywood, identity, and love. That in the end, Tab Hunter reminds us that every smile, every public appearance, and every carefully curated persona carries within it a hidden depth, a story untold, until courage allows it to surface. His journey, simultaneously emblematic and unique, is a testament to the enduring human struggle for authenticity, connection, and love, even in a world that prizes perfection over truth. Hollywood may have celebrated him as a quintessential boyfriend, but the real triumph of his life lies in the quiet, profound defiance of living fully and authentically, in a way that continues to inspire generations who look beyond the image. To the man within. Tab Hunter was the epitome of Hollywood charm, the boy next door who seemed to embody every young woman's fantasy and every parent's ideal of a perfect boyfriend. Yet beneath the polished smile and carefully curated public persona lay a life of secrecy, struggle, and quiet rebellion against a system that demanded perfection at all costs. Rising to fame in the 1950s, Hunter's career was launched by Warner Brothers, who recognized in him not just striking good looks and charisma, but a malleable star quality that could be packaged and marketed to the masses. He starred in films that showcased his talents, recorded chart-topping hits, and appeared in magazine covers that immortalized him as a wholesome heartthrob of an entire generation. Yet the image that captivated millions is the reality of his private life, a life in which he had to carefully navigate desires and relationships that, if revealed, could have destroyed his career. Hollywood in that era was unforgiving. Studio controlled not only the films actors appeared in, but also their public behavior, their romantic pairings, and even the narrative of their personal identities. And for a young man like Hunter, this meant living a dual existence, one in which he performed endlessly for a world that adored him, and another, hidden, where he could experience love, friendship, and intimacy authentically, even if only behind closed doors. The tension between these two worlds defined his life, forcing him to master the art of discretion, to develop strategies for maintaining private connections, and to cultivate a resilience that allowed him to survive in a culture that often punished authenticity and rewarded illusion. His charm, once thought to be effortless, was in reality a carefully managed armor, enabling him to maintain a flawless public image while preserving the fragile truths of his own humanity. Hunter's secret life, a stark contrast to the image of the ideal boyfriend, revealed the human cost of fame, the constant fear of exposure, the careful navigation of social relationships, and the enduring pressure to meet the impossible standards of Hollywood. Even as he pursued creative projects beyond acting, exploring music, taking on roles that allowed him subtle glimpses of agency, and cultivating private friendships, he remained acutely aware that every public appearance was a performance, every smile a mask, and every handshake a transaction with the audience who loved him but could never truly know him. Hunter's legacy challenges the simplistic narratives of celebrity, inviting reflection on the nature of identity, the price of perfection, and the courage required to maintain truth in a world obsessed with image, demonstrating that even in an era defined by illusion, it is possible to endure, to love, and to live fully, leaving behind a story that continues to inspire those who seek to understand the human heart behind the glittering facade of famed Tab Hunter, celebrated as Hollywood's quintessential boyfriend, was a living embodiment of charm, beauty, and the innocence of the studio so desperately wanted to sell to the public, a figure whose smile could ignite magazines, posters, and the imaginations of millions. Yet behind that flawless exterior, behind the carefully orchestrated appearances, the interviews, the public dates, and the red carpet smiles, lay a man living a dual existence, a life defined by secrecy, courage, and an acute awareness of the dangers of exposure. For in the 1950s, Hollywood was as merciless as it was glamorous, a world where studios controlled not just the careers but the personal lives of their stars, shaping who they could love, how they could speak, and what version of themselves they were allowed to show. And for Hunter, this meant walking an unending tightrope between public adoration and private reality, presenting the image of the ideal boyfriend adored by millions while quietly navigating the complexities of identity, desire, and authentic human connection in private, knowing that any slip, any rumor, or even a hint of deviation from the expected narrative could destroy everything he had worked for, from his contract to his reputation, and even his sense of safety. And so he learned to move with precision, charm, and discretion, cultivating friendships and romantic connections that could exist only in shadows, developing strategies for intimacy that allowed him to live authentically while maintaining the illusion demanded by a society obsessed with perfection and a Hollywood